potentially rip the sump open.
Pop out of this, you're coming out, it's like going off the end of an aircraft carrier. It's a 45-degree angle. In fact, in the last TCR race, Benny Loister, who won in the Gulf, lap 2, he popped out of the carousel. He almost had the mother and father of all shunts. There's a dramatic picture of him at 45 degrees to angle of travel, 2 wheels in the air as he just takes off. How he held it together, I really don't know. That's what 3,000 laps of experience around the track will do for you, though.
Yeah, and you've tried every single trajectory known to man into all of the 170 corners. Race leaders are in, and Maro Engel.
I nearly fell into that trap.
I completely did.
I was just about to say, are we still seeing highlights? And on the right-hand side, we are. So that was the first stop. But again, it was very tight. Maro Engel only inches in front as he led in the number 2 Mercedes.
Now, hang on a minute. This is the 14th lap. We're probably going to go, well, the leaders might go for an 8-lap stint here. So at the end of this one and one more.
Now, it does... the leaders aren't in the pits, are they?
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Halfway round this lap.
No. Yeah. Yes, because we are seeing them in the pit lane in their current order, which is always a little bit confusing.
I might look out the window to remember real life in this instance, because I can't see any leaders coming down pit lane.
No.
They've only had one stop so far, the number 2 Maro Engel driven Mercedes and the number 911 Porsche.
But we
could be on the cusp of an in-lap, but I think they're going to go for another one.
Yeah, we get another one after this, yes. I was just saying we're on the cusp of in-laps for the cars who came in a lap early last time around. That's right. So we'll get the cars that came in after 6 laps coming in for pit stops. That will include the Glickenhaus, Gabriele Piana, and I think Sven Muller in the Porsche. Just trying to fend off Martin there because he was trying to get involved in something that he didn't quite understand, because we've had a slight glitch from timing, which they will tell me about what happened in a minute. But
that was my laugh. I was looking over to my left at Paul's screen, which tracks how many laps is in the stint and how many laps remain still to go, and he was just holding his hands over it. Privileged information.
Not privileged, we're just rebuilding at the moment. So
dumb cops like me wouldn't understand even if we could see it. So, but as Paul says, it's all being redone.
He does use coloured blocks though, so rebuilding is the correct phrase.
Lego blocks.
Lego blocks.
Stefan Spies corrected me, but it was the mini carousel, not the carousel where he jumped out, but it was definitely from concrete to tarmac. Benny Loister, never mind, went on to win the last of the TCR support races. Maro Engel leading, but we now have a problem for the 31st place Ferrari, the number 55 car, and
this
Johnny,
is the team known as Octane.
Well, yes.
Octane 126 entry. Alex Prinz, that rear of the Ferrari 488 is well alight.
He must know, I hope he knows, he's on the Grand Prix circuit.
Indeed.
I hope he knows to turn right at the end of it and not let. In fact, you know what? I'm not sure the car's even going to get that far. It is absolutely ablaze from the firewall back. That is the end of that Ferrari.
Yeah.
That is an ex-Ferrari, and he needs to get out of there in a real hurry, and he can't. Car's rolling backwards because the brakes don't work anymore. It's an absolute conflagration. He's stopped at a marshal's post on the uphill section.
He is
and
out
he
now.
is out of the car and wisely running. No, leave the car. Don't hold on to it.
He's worried that it's going to roll back into the track.
Well, I know, but I'm worried that it's going to explode. There's a poor marshal coming up behind him with one handheld fire extinguisher.
That's not going to do the job.
That needs an airplane. That needs an airplane fire truck with lots of foam.
Yeah. And
yeah, God love him. He's trying to put the fire out.
It's
but
just leaping to the other side of the car.
The good thing, though, is there's then no bodywork left. We can see an arch on the left side, but it caught fire on the right-hand side, and there is no bodywork left. And he tosses the extinguisher away in disgust. The marshals will be left to clear this up. So I think just possibly there might be yellows out on the Grand Prix circuit very soon. But that was a hugely dramatic fire.
I could see why he was hustling on, because on the Grand Prix track you are permitted to sneak into the back door and go to the pits, but then the team all of a sudden go, well, what do we do with this?
What's the first thing that you stop beside when you arrive in the pits? Petrol pumps.
Yeah.
You know, not sealed, not actual garage forecourt petrol pumps. So driver has just tried to rip what remains of the bodywork. The problem is when you get a blaze like that, composite bodywork, carbon fibre composite bodywork just turns into dust. So you pull one bit off, it's not connected to anything else.
Yeah.
It's going, no, come on, it's still a blaze. It is still a light underneath, and a lot of it underneath. There's nothing left of that. That is a complete insurance write-off, I'm afraid. Steering wheel might be okay.
Well,
So
Alex
for-
Prinz
Yeah.
actually has, amazingly, another car that he could race, but it's that's already had a moment very early on at Hatzenbach. You might remember the BMW, the Hoffer Racing M3
Oh, yeah.
GTR. Well, that's an Alex Prinz car technically as well, that Martin Kroll had a moment in. So you enter a race with two cars at your disposal, and it goes very, very wrong in the opening couple of hours, and Alex is still working hard on the rear left corner now to make sure that the fire is out in the engine bay. But that is not a pretty sight any longer. Octane 126, who have run regularly in the VLN with an older Ferrari, a 458 in the SP8 category. This is their first venture into the GT3 world, by my mind.
That's
I'm
a pretty
afraid
tough break.
it's come to a grinding halt very early on.
Yeah. Marshals are there trying to damp down what remains of the Ferrari's blaze, and they must have gone through half a dozen handheld fire extinguishers there. So, yeah, a real mess, and really unfortunate. So Jonathan Hershey, Seaman Trimmer, have they got another car to jump into?
no.
I mean, was that an all-Swiss crude? No, Prinz is Austrian,
Prinz.
is he? Prinz is
Prinz.
Swiss, okay. So,
I thought he was German.
an all-Swiss car, a Swiss entry, and it catches fire actually in the first chicane. Flames lick out the back, and it is trailing smoke, and he's weaving around trying to figure out what's going wrong with the car, and then in the rear view mirror he can just see sheets of flame. It could not be more Hollywood dramatic if it tried. So, yeah, really tough break for him. And so now it's, what do I do? Where do I go? Am I going to try and get back to the pits and bring a blazing inferno into a pit lane full of petrol pumps and people? Or am I going to pull off and try and find a marshal's place? And, you know, in the end, I think the car makes the decision for him, Johnny.
Yeah.
It's just not having it. He's trying to get it stopped. It barely stops. The front wheels are locked. The rear wheels are still turning. And it was a real blaze. Yes, lost a fuel line or an oil line. And
Heinhoff makes a good point in that behind you it is just the firewall, just the bulkhead. So you're relying on the door mirrors, and it's not until the fire gets completely out of control that Alex thinks the better idea is certainly to pull off onto the grass and hope. The problem is there's a flag marshal there, but where's the nearest fire extinguisher? Calling near marshals on, and obviously the priority for everybody else is to keep the double waved yellows going. And then the first marshal arrives on scene, but just with a very small extinguisher.
The thing with the double wave yellows is sort of letter of the law. The sheets of flame and pall of black smoke on trackside would have warned everybody else that there was an issue there. But no,
True.
I absolutely, you know, there is a code 60 there now because, of course, this will need damping down. There's a works vehicle there with the foam tanks just to make sure. But for Alex Prinz, yeah, I mean, I'd have been brave Sir Robin. I would have run away.
Yeah.
I'm afraid, you know, the conflagration that he was faced with, you know you're not going to put it out yourself. And I know he was desperate to try and keep the car in the race, but that was a lost cause basically from the moment the cameras picked it up, I think.
It is Simon Trummer's, Bjorn Grossman's and Jonathan Hershey's only drive in the race, so unfortunately it's a very early bath for those three guys.
Did I hear you say that Simon Trummer started that car?
Yes.
Clickenhouse has been in the pits, and so too has the number 3 Mercedes. So 7:05, where's he dropped down to? He's dropped down to 20th place.